Hey, Super Legends, my name's Dre. Just want to say a massive, huge welcome to my very first Sales Superstar show. So this series is where we interview the best of the best salespeople. So people that are sales professionals that are just absolutely killing it in their industry. We're going to be looking at what drives them, what motivates them, who their mentors and their coaches were, what their career story was, and if there's any sort of strategies and techniques that we can actually use to implement ourselves as well. So I want to find, what is it that makes them different from the other 80% of people that are not able to step up onto that stage. So really quickly before we get into it, my background is in recruitment and sales. I've done that for about 20 years. I know what you're thinking, Dre, you don't look that old. I appreciate you. I'm the director of Job Search Queensland, which is essentially a coaching platform. I've written and published a book, which is the #1 interview playbook, which is a clever guide to winning your next job role, and also the host of another podcast as well called Hot Hire. So my very first guest, I'm not going to say too much about her. She is an absolute legend. I call her Mrs. Sales. So sales is in her blood, or as she likes to refer to it, it's her second language. So I want to say a huge welcome and enjoy the show to Brittany. Welcome to Brittany Baldwin. How are you, Brittany?
I'm so good. Thanks for asking. I'm really thrilled to be here. You are doing amazing things, and I'm looking forward to sharing so many tips with all of your listeners.
Right, and I just want to say, firstly, a special thank you. So this is my very first Sales Superstar show, and who better than Mrs. Sales? So I really appreciate it.
You had me at Superstar. I was like, yep, I'm doing it. That's me. No, how exciting. You've launched this new thing, and I'm of course thrilled to be here, but most importantly, the platform that you're putting out there for people to learn from is incredible. So whilst we're all here to have a great time, what you're doing is going to impact people's lives, and I'm so glad and so grateful that you chose me to be the first one to have that impact, to leave that impression.
Love that. All right, Brittany, can you tell us a little bit about your story and about your background and where you've started, got to where you are?
Yes, absolutely. From a sales perspective, because that's what's relevant today, I first entered my sales role about 6 years ago now, and I like to have a bit of a joke that the first thing I'd ever the only thing I'd ever sold prior to that was a pair of shoes on eBay. So I'm one of those people that wasn't bred to sell. I'm not a naturally gifted salesperson. Anyway, so I went into this role with no sales experience, no industry knowledge, no idea how to manage a team of people who were significantly older than me and more experienced than me. And what I did have was the fire in my belly. I did have this really exciting way to be able to address and tackle a solution for somebody from a place of inexperience, to say, how can we do this better? How can we do this more successful? So I was like the sponge. I absorbed as much information as I can, because at the end of the day, competitive by nature that we all are, I wanted to be #1. I wanted to be the best. And my fortune changed when we had a sales trainer come on board, and for 2 days they taught us the ins and outs and the upside downs of everything to do with selling. And I took the bits and pieces that were really relevant to me, because it's not all relevant, I'm not comfortable with it all, and I formed my own system, my own process. And what separated me out from all of the other people who received the same training was that I was the one who implemented it and took action. I didn't just return to the office and say, I'm just going to do it how I've always done it because I'm comfortable that way. So I stretched the boundaries, and what happened as a result of that was I became I became a gun salesperson, let's be honest. But it was all process driven. It was all systems driven. It was consistency. I did my follow-ups. I learned how to say things better. So look, as a result of that, I had promotion after promotion after promotion. I ended up in the executive team, 115 million sales over 3 years. And I'm so grateful for that, because obviously I was rewarded very handsomely for that. But it was that age-old, the harder you work, the more results you get, the more money you make. So you work hard, and it was a bit of a toxic environment, health and well-being wise. I was living away from home. Anyway, that all came to a screaming halt because I was met with a very unexpected redundancy. But I had a little bit more time on my hands, so I started to look after my health a little bit more. I went along for my annual skin check. I was diagnosed with cancer. So traumatic at 29, right? So if that wasn't a sign, I was no longer working, I was diagnosed with cancer, it was right before Christmas, I said, new year, new me. I have to change myself. I have to change the journey that I'm taking. And I want to put myself in a position where I can impact others, empower others, and help them learn the process, learn sales the same way that I did, because it's vital. It's critical for every business out there. But so many people are afraid of it. They don't know what to do. So they shy away from it and they say, oh, it'll happen. It'll happen one day. So I'm here to shift their perspective and say, let's learn the art of sales in a simple way, bringing simplicity to sales.
I love that. Yeah, one day never happens. One day is no day. So tell me, your competitive edge, where does that stem from? Because I know most salespeople are pretty, they've got that competitiveness inside. So where does that come from?
From like a tiny little tucker that I was as a little one. My parents instilled in me that we can go out and do whatever we want. We can achieve anything. We can achieve greatness. And I'm so grateful for that trust and that level of confidence that they built in me. Like, it's personality driven too, of course, but you are surrounded by successful people and you're surrounded by people who see opportunities. So as a young one, my parents introduced me to the world of equestrian, horse riding. I was a professional athlete in that respect. And, you know, I was the type of person who I had the best horses, the best gear, the best everything. And I'm so grateful for my parents for giving that to me. But it allowed me to recognize and develop in this world where I won everything that I entered. Every single competition, I was a winner. Okay, to this day, I still hold the youngest ever age to win the national titles in Australia. I was 7 years old. I beat all the adults, everything like that. So it's always been there. Yeah, I know. It's always been there, and I have adopted that same mentality from being a sports person to being a business owner to being competitive at home with my husband, whatever it looks like. I think it's not about like win at all costs, but it is about having something to strive for, having a goal to achieve, and then doing everything that you can to perform at your best level.
Okay, well, this leads me, that's not really interesting. So this leads me to like rejection. So how do you handle like rejection? Like what's your take? What's your view?
We all hate rejection, right? no matter what form it comes in, whether it's in business, in relationships, you know, whether you like enter a prize and you don't win, rejection's really hard. And I'm not here to make it trivial. It's tough, okay? And as business owners, as salespeople, you know, it is an environment where we are working towards, you know, monthly targets. We're working towards getting as many deals over the line as we can. And it's a top-down management style where they expect us to be good all the time. And, you know, the success rate, it's not 100%. If it was 100%, it'd be friggin' boring. We'd be doing the same thing every day. But I'll bring you back to a cancer story. I'll make this really simple to understand. I've had my surgery, I'm completely fine, and that's great. But I have to get my skin checked every 3 months. And every 3 months, I get my skin checked and my doctor decides to cut something off me and send it off for a biopsy. I'm like, please stop hacking my skin. I don't want holes all over me. But look, my health is more important. I don't want to die. So the results take 4 days to come back. Okay. And in the beginning, I used to stress and worry and come from a place of anxiety because what happens if I've got it? Oh my goodness, what will I do? How much money will that cost? Blah, blah, blah. And I've evolved to recognize that those circumstances are completely outside of my control. What I can control is how I respond to them.
Yes.
So now I worry when there's something to worry about. And I think we can incorporate that into the sense of rejection. Can you look and observe and identify any gaps that you didn't fill? Or is it simply your customer is, it's not the right time for them? or they thought they wanted it but they don't, or they're simply too busy, or somebody else, you know, rejected them and they've had to reject you. Like, there's not just a you've done poorly, it's your fault, you know, woe to you. So we can control our response to that. You can choose to be down and mope about it, or you can choose to say, you know what, that wasn't the right one, but the next one will be.
Love that. All right, so I find that people that are really, really successful, you know, there's like a different trait. So would you say that you're a perfectionist? You would, yeah?
Don't even say the other thing. Whatever you think, I'm not that. I'm the perfectionist. Yes. Yes. And do you know what? I've had to work on that. I've always had a lot of pride in my ability to set high standards, be perfect. It's a personal standard, okay? No one's out there telling you or telling me that I have to be perfect, right? But I've recognized as a business owner, perfection is hard. Like, there's no such thing as perfect, and you have to embrace change. You have to embrace things that aren't going well. So I have embraced progress is better than perfection.
Yes.
You just have to be out there doing it. And I can tell you, there are things that I put out to the world that I'm like, was that perfect? Was that my best effort? No, but it's out there. It's done. People are learning from it. People are being educated and being inspired and getting results because of what I put out there. So I think the other side of that is my level or my version of perfect is going to be completely different to somebody else's level of perfect. So they might be thinking that's the best thing Brittany's ever done. And I'm like, it's the worst. So, if I'm going to sit there and wait to have other people's judgments towards me, I may as well just get started and focus on the next one. But whatever your question was, major perfectionist, working on that problem.
I love that. All right, so were you an international stunt woman?
Mm-hmm.
How did that come about?
Okay, my parents are involved in the film industry, so we're horse people, as you know, but we're also stunt people. And my dad's had an amazing career in the film industry as a stunt man and now as a stunt coordinator. So he directs the action, okay? My mum's a stunt woman, my sister's a stunt woman, I'm a stunt woman. And when I left when I left school, I stopped riding horses. I had to focus on, I'm a bit of an academic, so I had to focus on getting through school, going to university, doing what everyone's supposed to do in life. And I started my career as an accountant. Now,
really?
We love accountants, right? My husband's an accountant, but it wasn't for me. So I did 4 years, like I could do tax like no one can, right? But it's just not my, it's not my pathway. So a big film came along, a Josh Hartnett movie, an international movie, and I said, you know what, if there's ever been a time where I'm going to jump ship, do something exciting, now's the time. So I set up a stunt agency to manage all of the stunt performers in Queensland. And it was this huge business. Like, I worked my guts out on the set. I was doing the stunts. I was one of the main stunt doubles. It took me overseas to India to finish filming. And I did stunts for a while. And that was wonderful, but it's inconsistent. Okay, it's amazing when it's good, and it's pretty shocking when it's not. So I wanted some more consistency, but I got married in the middle of that. I went to Europe for a 4-month honeymoon. My high school sweetheart, Mitchell, I love you so much. When I got back from 4 months in Europe, I go like, I probably need a normal job. I probably need to, be a bit more consistent. So that led me to getting a normal job, which led to the other job, which led to the redundancy, which led to my business. So, I don't regret one single thing. It shaped me into the woman that I am today.
Brilliant. All right, so you're a published author as well, is that? Yeah. So I want to say that's absolutely love your book, and I think this is relevant for probably say 98% of like people. And what I love about it is that you've got I love quotes, and you've got so my next book is, I'm going to copy you, so I'm going to have quotes throughout.
Best form of flattery, right?
Let's say, yeah. But yeah, it's just absolutely awesome. Can you just tell me, or just explain the 5x5 which helps with time management? Because I know that we've spoken about it before, and I just think that's like, I've never heard of it before. I just think it's awesome.
Okay, so goal setters in the room. It doesn't surprise you that I'm one of them. At the start of 2020, I gave myself 20 goals for 2020, and one of them was write a book. Okay, and what happened is that COVID-19 happened. We all went into isolation, and I said, if that's not some sort of universal sign that I need to be locked in my office and write a book, I don't know what is. So I did that, and I'm so grateful to have it out there. But Tick Tock Sales, look at all the clocks around me, Tick Tock Sales was founded because there's a relationship between time and selling. And if you can manage your time more effectively, if you can create more hours in your day, then you will be able to reinvest that back into your business, back into your role as a salesperson in the form of doing things like database calls, okay? So you need the time to do that. It takes time. And when I was looking at the time management strategies out there, you know, there's a million of them. I've got an ebook with 10 different ones, but the 5x5 is universally accepted as one of the greatest teachings that I provide with people. Like, of all the sales stuff I talk about, and I ask for takeaways, they're like, oh, 5x5. Okay, fine. So 5x5 is the 5 most important tasks that you need to achieve by 5 p.m. or whatever time you finish. I'm assuming you finish at 5, but the 5 most important tasks for the day. We all have to-do lists a mile long, and human nature says, let's attack the easiest ones first, the ones that are going to take the shortest amount of time, rather than focusing on the most important ones. So this allows you to look at your to-do list, if you've got a list. If not, you know, you should. But it allows you to work with more intention to achieve those 5 tasks, because if there's only 5, it's achievable. You've got more clarity. I use it every day. Here's my example, 5x5.
Nice.
Every day. You can all have a copy of that if you like, but it makes me work to make sure I get it done, because I've got this sense if I don't achieve that, then I have to carry it forward to the next day and the next day. That's not to say you only do 5 tasks in a day. It simply says you do the 5 most important ones first. The quicker you get them done, the quicker you can move on to all the other stuff too.
Brilliant. And you every day you do at least 5 every day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, like, you have to have a bit of leeway on yourself. Like, sometimes life, work, business, everything gets in the way, but the goal is to do 5 per day. And I have it sitting on my desk every day where I can tick them off and have that sense of accomplishment.
Right, can you talk me through the process of writing a book? Because that's such a difficult thing to do. And I know that you had your virtual launch. So you had to have a virtual book launch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Best thing that ever happened, by the way, because one of the hardest things in business is getting people to events. And if we were operating normally earlier in the year, I probably would have tried to do an event, invited people to come, spend all this money on food and alcohol and decorations, and then no one would be there and I'd be celebrating on my own. So I'm kind of like blessing in disguise, because to hold the party virtually, I had people from the UK, from America, from New Zealand, all over Australia, and they could interact with me in a way that they never would have been able to in person. But the process of writing a book,
yeah.
For anybody who is thinking about doing it, it is achievable, absolutely, but you have to structure it in a way where you break it off into smaller chunks. Okay, there needs to be a bit of strategy behind it. Rather than just saying, I'm going to write a book, where do I start? You need to start off with, what's the book about? What's the outcome? So why are you writing a book? Okay, I give my book away for free. Okay, because for me, it's a lead magnet. It's an opportunity for me to connect with more people. If you want to buy it, sure, that costs money. It costs me to print it, right? But to absorb that information, you can have it for free. ticktocksales.com.au/book. Shameless promotion there.
I love it. Yeah.
But look, I started with the end goal in mind, okay? And then I thought, what is it that I want my people who are reading this book to take away from that? And the outcome that I wanted them was that sales is simple. And you need to connect with your database, because you're going to turn your database into dollars through the follow-up process, okay? Then I said, if I were to break it down into sections, what sections would that be? So I wanted to master your mindset. Then I wanted to have a all about follow-up and what that means, and then what to do before, during, and after a call. And from there, then you can break it down again within each of those chapters. So what do you need to do before a call? These are the 4 steps that you need to do, as an example. So I started off with the chapter titles. And then within that, I go, all right, I'm going to address one chapter at a time. And my goal, and I stuck to it like a crazy person, was to write a chapter per day.
Chapter per day.
Chapter per day. So look, as I was writing, I kept adding chapters. So my deadline kept going out and out and out, which I was like, oh, 1 more day. No, 3 more days left. But I will say this, editing it and formatting it and getting it ready for print took me as long as it did to write the book. So people hire someone to do that. It's hard.
What about the front cover? Did you design that yourself or did you get someone else to do that for you?
I've worked with the design team for a long time. You know, my brand is very strong. So I'm not going to take credit for it, but there was certainly a level of influence. Like, I came up with the name. It's me on the cover. It's my photo. But no, look, I'm not going to take credit for that. That was Peter at Sin Design. But when he crafted my brand, and we recognized the importance of how important it is to have a strong brand, he said to me, Brittany, what's your vision? And I said, look, Peter, I look really good in red lipstick, so let's run with that.
I love that.
That's why TikTok is red.
All right, let's talk mentors, coaches, and trainers. Like, what mentor or coach or trainer has had the biggest impact on you for your sales career?
Myself. Okay, now I could list out 100 other people, right? But your sales success starts in here. And if you can unlock your ability to sell to yourself, then you can sell to anybody, okay? Now, I have had people on the way, I've invested in coaching, I've done courses, and there's 1,000,001 great people out there. But I will say, your attitude, your approach, your determination, your commitment, your grit, that is what's ultimately going to lead you to success, because those coaches, they show you how to do it and then they leave you to do it. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So, you know, if you're not doing the work, then everything they've taught you is not going to translate into results. Okay, so I'm a huge believer in taking action. Like, there's 1,000,001 quotes out there. We all know that about the importance of taking action. And we could sit here and hit you over the head all day long. But the reality is, your coach isn't standing there when you're speaking to the customer. So it's taking that advice on board, being the sponge, and then putting that out into the real world. Trial and error. It doesn't all happen at once. But it starts here and here.
That's brilliant. You know what? I was not expecting you to say that, so I love that. But it's so true. All right. So do you listen to any sort of like podcasts, or have you got like people that you'd regularly like listen to?
I used to do a lot of driving in my job. I used to work on the Sunshine Coast. I live in the Gold Coast. So I spent hours and hours and hours in the car. But interestingly, I used to do work calls. So only in my later, the final months that I was doing that, did I embrace things like podcasts. One in particular stands out for me because it was the first one I ever listened to, and I think that always has an impact on you. So it was Anthony Iannarino.
Okay.
Okay, in the arena. So that was the one and only podcast I've ever listened to. Truthfully, it's not my mode of learning. I'm a reader. So I would rather belt out music and sing along on the highway than listen to podcasts, because I don't absorb the information. I'm a reader. I write it down. I type it out. So I think that then, to answer your question, is everybody has a different learning style, and you need to find the one that works for you.
Okay, let me change the question then. I'll reframe it. What was like the latest book that you've read? Apart from that. You know what? I'm just going to interrupt for a second. Just on that as well. So so I've got a couple of versions of my book. This is like an old version. So there was a couple of times where I've been like on the train, and the train's been packed, and I've actually sat there, been reading it, and like people are like, they're looking at the book, they're looking at me, looking at the book.
Yeah, no, I'm all for that. What am I reading right now? I will answer that. I'm reading through the Dan Brown series, like the Da Vinci Code. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
okay. So I'm a reader. I love reading. I've read my entire life. Since I could read, obviously. Now I like to combine, storytelling books with education-based books, because that's the only way that I can keep sane about it all. Because if I'm doing business all day and then I'm reading about business all night, like it is draining to a point. So I feel like you put me on the spot, and I know that was one of the things when you were going to talk about, and I don't have don't have a go-to book, is the honest truth, because I probably more like get on the internet and read blogs. Like, I know I've taken you from audiobooks to like I read all the time, and then I'm like, but I actually do internet research.
You go, yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Learn in person, give it a go. There's so much information out there. Read it all. I know. Yeah. Oh, sorry, no. I do have the answer. I remembered. Okay, what really happened is I forgot my answer, so I was, pointing you in a different direction. This is genius.
Okay.
Like, drop the mic. This is genius.
Ooh.
It's called Who Moved My Cheese?
Oh, I haven't read that for a long time.
Who Moved My Cheese? Okay, you know how you asked me if I was a perfectionist? That is what started my journey to realize that if I was going to sit there and guard my cheese, I know this sounds weird. If you don't know what it's about, read it, it's short. Okay, but I was a sit there and guard my cheese sort of a mouse. It's really weird. Because I'd accumulated, I've done well, I've got these amazing things, and I was quite comfortable and happy with what I'd built into this little, cheese pile. But my mother, she scurries and she finds the next cheese and the next cheese, and she's going to build her empire of cheeses while mine slowly dwindles because I'm eating it. Again, people, for context, read the book. Okay, so I realized if I was going to be successful in business, I had to let go of my pile of cheese, venture out into the scary maze, and start to build my empire of my cheese castle. So Who Moved My Cheese? Get onto it.
Love that. Good book. All right. So I'm just a bit conscious of your time, so I know that you're very busy. So a couple of questions. So what have you got going on now or next? Anything exciting projects or programs, and how can people get a hold of you?
Okay, thank you for asking. I have just launched my brand new online program called 9 to 5 Power Plan. So imagine you have a clock. I've separated out the number of hours between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. is 8 hours. So each module, each hour is, I can't do the clock, it looks weird on the camera, but each hour is dedicated to a new chapter of the sales process. So there's eight steps in the sales process, from preparation and preparing yourself, from the initial inquiry, transforming a prospect all the way into a paying customer, and then doing repeat business with them. So I launched that on the 31st of October, very recently. So that has been an amazing project. There's a bit of play on time and everything, but ultimately it's your sales process. Simple, a series of videos and worksheets as well. I'm also working on doing the audio version of dollars, which is super exciting. Who wants to listen to my voice for hours and hours? I do. You do. When it's done, I'll send it your way. But look, big goals for 2021. Goal setter in the room here. So I am not going to share them with you. Okay. Wait and see.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't want to give away the secrets, but no, lots is happening. We're all working towards bigger and better things, and there's always, the goalposts always move. So we're like, okay, done that. What's next? What's next? What's next? So I've got another idea for a book. Ooh. But now I've got to find the time to write it, because there's no more isolation here. I don't have that excuse to lock myself away anymore. So yeah.
Okay. Just a couple more questions. So do you have any, I guess, strategies or techniques or tips that, say if there's like young, like sales professionals or sales guns coming up that, that they could implement like now? Is there anything that you could help with?
So many things, of course. You know, we've already established that it starts with you. Okay, so understanding the impact that you're going to have. Okay, so you are there to improve your customers' lives. You're there to improve their businesses, and you should be so proud of that, because I know people are struggling, particularly at the moment, with the idea that their clients are vulnerable and they don't want to push something onto them that they're not wishing to receive. Okay, so you need to first understand the value that you can create, and you can unlock your potential once you know that you are doing wonderful things in the world. Sales is an honorable profession. You are a professional communicator. You're facilitating the process for your customer. So I really think it all starts with your mindset. Also, though, having a plan, having a system, having your go-to guide for how you can, commit to your sales process. That's what I did. I do it every day consistently. But if there were 2 words that will change your life, it's follow up. Follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. That is your gold.
Brittany, I just want to say, right, you've been amazing. I've had so much fun, and I love your energy and love your vibe. Is there anything else that you'd like to leave with?
Yes, thank you for asking. Really quickly, I see at the moment a lot of Facebook posts that say, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Ooh,
now,
okay.
I know it's so powerful, and you're going to get that great answer from me in a minute. Now, for somebody who's been supremely confident, supremely successful, I have wonderful things in my life and a great support system, and I don't apologize for that. But so I sit here and go, what would I have done differently? Okay. And I've put a lot of thought into it, because I read them, I don't engage in them, but I sit there and go, what would I say if I were to respond to that? My answer is this. My answer is to not be too hard on yourself, because we are all trying our very best to be successful in life, successful in relationships, successful in business, successful with money. And our goal is to be the best version of ourselves. You know, I know that's a bit cliche, but that's what we're all trying to do. And I think that we set ourselves these targets where circumstances may allow us to achieve that or not, but we are getting so frustrated as a collective, as a society, with the speed in which we achieve the results that we want to. And I know that business in particular, sales especially, is a tough slog, and it's really hard, and you're competing against other people, and you've got really defined targets and time frames and deadlines. And I just say I'm going to open my book to quote number 1, because I know you love a quote. A little progress each day adds up to big results. And that's what we're all doing. We're taking those little steps every single day. Stop back, look, reflect upon what you've already achieved in the past. You need to embrace your little successes along the way, because that is going to allow you to move forward, knowing that if you've had success in the past, no matter how big or small, you are then going to be able to create that success in the future.
Okay, Brittany Baldwin, thank you very much.
Oh, hold on, I missed. I'm off the screen. My pleasure. Thank you so much. Connect with me on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, visit ticktocksales.com.au, because I'm here to help. That is my mission in life. I aspire to inspire before I expire. So get in touch with me so I can inspire you.
I love that. Yeah, thank you so much. Brittany, that was awesome. Hey, superstars, how cool was that? Brittany, just want to say a massive thank you to that. That was absolute fire. Dropping bombs, dropping gold. So, thank you. All right, so everyone else, my key takeaways were this. So, mindset. Master your mindset. Become emotionally strong. Be able to deal with rejection. It's part of life. The money is in the leads. Yeah, so follow up your leads. That's what a lot of salespeople don't do. So you need to be consistent. So don't give up, be persistent. Another one, create value for your customer. I'm going to say that again, create value, unbelievable value for your customer, so they're not going to want to go anywhere else. Progress, this is one of my favorites. Progress over perfection. I have to say it again, progress over perfection. I also love the 5x5 for time management, doing the most 5 important or key tasks on your to-do list by 5 o'clock or whatever time you finish. And I think the last thing that Brittany said was, if she was going to look back in her life, what would her older self tell her younger self? Don't be too hard on yourself. And I know a lot of people, especially sales professionals, are very hard and beat themselves up as well. So I think that's a great tip and something that we should all take on board. So yes, first show, can't wait to the second show. Once again, massive thank you to Brittany, and let's light this up.